My friends, the Russian occupying forces in the south of Ukraine have the 58th Army. They are responsible for occupying and controlling the frontal areas of the southern western parts of occupied Ukraine. We're talking also about Tokmak, Melitopol areas, and their headquarters was, I say was, in Melitopol. Let's zoom into the settlement. This one right here, which is the strong point and the most important settlement in the area for the Russian command structure of the 58th Army. Let's look at some photos. This building right here was a motor factory in Melitopol. A factory making some kind of motors that was converted by the 58th Army command structure to be their new shiny headquarters, where all of the commands could be given out to the fronts, to the logistics, to the troops. Everything happened through that building. And why is that building on fire and destroyed, you might ask? Well, that is a great question. Because the Russian OPSEC is non-existent. If it happens on the front or in the headquarters, immediately Ukrainians know about it and they have some presents to be sent in the form of HIMARS, Storm Shadows, drones. To sum up, this headquarters of the Russian 58th Army was destroyed, bombarded at the very same time where most of the higher ranking officers of the 58th Army were present in a meeting. Initial reports state that 10 Russian high officers were liquidated, sent to take a dirt nap, sent to sleep with the fishes, and dozens of others were injured. This shows you clearly how important is OPSEC and why Ukrainian troops are so secretive, and especially the SPU is so secretive about their missions. Now the minus side about it is that Russians always report before Ukrainians if something happens. For example, if they haven't even taken a settlement yet, they already report that they have taken it. That means that the pro-Russian trolls who are so hungry for Russian success will grab onto this news and multiply it in the world. What Ukrainians usually do is, even if they do liberate a settlement or if they do destroy headquarters of the Russian 58th Army, they will wait a few days to get the confirmed results. And this one also, they have waited a few days because it didn't happen yesterday. It happened a few days ago. Nobody exactly knows when, because the OPSEC of the Ukrainian SPU is great. OPSEC, operational security, or to put it bluntly, we don't talk about the stuff we do before we have the results. The two most higher ranking officers, the chief of staff of the 58th Army, so the commander, leader, god of the 58th Army, got wounded, and his deputy also got wounded. So these guys are supposed to be untouchables. I mean, they're the leaders of the entire Russian army, and they just got a rocket up there. You know what? My friends, I just got back from Ukraine, and every video I will share one very short story with you what happened to me in Ukraine. And this time it's Paulina's turn. This is a field medic that came with Brandon Mitchell. Paulina is her name. And I wanted to shoot a video because for 5 years when I came out of the army, I haven't been applied a tourniquet to my leg. So I wanted to feel again how it feels like. And here we go. And I'm faking that it's painful because it's actually not. I'm you know. So this is fake, and now she's turning the thing, and now it actually starts hurting. It actually, because if you really turn it to stop the blood circulation, it hurts. I mean, of course, it hurts a lot less than the bullet wound in your leg, but it still hurts.
Am I gonna lose my leg?
And I was.
You can roll here, so you can see that it applied to the right place.
So she was a volunteer medic for the territorial forces, saving lives every day. And now here we have Brandon Mitchell talking a story that I cannot really share because it's so dirty and I can't. YouTube will just delete my channel if I share this. Brandon has some crazy, dirty stories. I'm sorry, Brandon, I cannot share these ones. And then we wanted to go to eat, and Brandon and Paulina had their medevac with them, which was a 4x4 and filled with medical stuff in the back. And they said, oh, this Crimean Tartar food, Mustafir, it's the name of the cafe. It's 10 clicks away. Hop onto my truck. And we were like, hey, there's no room. And Brandon was like, shut the up, get onto my truck, close the doors, and that's the result.
Going out on their patrols and their positions.
We're right now in the back of Brandon Mitchell's car, medevac actually. People who are wounded have been transported on this, and this has no seats, nothing. We're on the boxes, on tourniquets, there's like a pink dildo underneath there. And you cannot... It doesn't seem like that, but it was painful. We were there 25-30 minutes. We couldn't breathe. There was no AC, there was no room. Everything was stuck together. It was really like my conscription days when I was stuck with my radio in the back of a G-Wagon, not the civilian one, but the military one, the smaller one, doing like this with two phones, talking to both of them, not being able to breathe. This is what it reminded me of.
There's nothing to breathe. There's no windows here. It's just plastic and it's super hot. So the way it's done is like it.
You're the commander. It's your
These are Jasper and Seem, best traveled bodies in the world. My friends, all of this clip and everything I did is up on my Instagram, Artur Rehi. Go and check it out because most of the stuff I cannot put on YouTube because YouTube laws, so you can see it on my Instagram. I'll see you there. My friends, as most of you know, Azerbaijan and Armenia are going at it again. Azerbaijan is taking back Nagorno-Karabakh and forcing out the Armenian separatist armed groups from the area that have been there since the 90s, ever since Armenia occupied the area with the support of Russia. Now Azerbaijan is giving a blowback, taking it back. And so far, they're doing it successfully. They are pushing out Armenians, and Armenian Prime Minister is choosing the path of de-escalation and not to respond militarily. But that's not the main thing here. The main thing here is Russia as a peacekeeper has failed, and that is not the main thing. 8 Russian soldiers have been killed by Azerbaijani forces. And with them, the deputy chief of the entire Russian peacekeeping contingent in the area, in the Nagorno-Karabakh. These 8 soldiers were driving in a car when Azerbaijani forces opened fire upon them, killing all 8 in the car. The deputy commander's name of the Russian peacekeeping contingent was Ivan Gavgan, and he might have been very pleased with his position in there because most of his comrades were fighting in Ukraine, getting liquidated there, and he was in Azerbaijan, in Nagorno-Karabakh, a relatively safe area. I mean, he's Russian in a small state, nobody dares to touch him, and then suddenly, boom, Azerbaijani bullets saying hello. And that is not it. Ivan, the deputy commander, was also the commander of the Russian Northern Submarine Fleet. So Russia lost the commander of their peacekeeping contingent in Nagorno-Karabakh and the commander of their Northern Submarine Fleet. And in addition to that, as I reported before, Russian headquarters of the 58th Army were struck in Melitopol. So Russian high-ranking officers are dropping like flies. They really like water because they're all going to sleep with the fishes. Of course, what followed this is the Azerbaijani apology, because for the Azerbaijani armed forces, this operation for them liberating the Nagorno-Karabakh has been relatively successful, if you look at it from the Azerbaijani side, and they don't want new Russian peacekeepers in the area, so they released an official apology to the Russian armed forces that this was an accident. But the fact that the Russian peacekeepers who in the area are supposed to protect Armenian interests are weak, are getting killed, and do not represent the strong imperial Russia that they once were representing shows that Azerbaijan doesn't care. Russia is nothing to them anymore. They will take back Nagorno-Karabakh and they will eliminate Russian peacekeepers if necessary. For example, this is a Russian peacekeepers command post, command headquarters in Martakert region in Nagorno-Karabakh, and this was bombarded by Azerbaijani forces. And I'm pretty sure they knew these were the Russian peacekeepers. So this means a small country like Azerbaijan, supported by Turkey, Erdogan is bitch-slapping Putin around left and right, is bombarding Russian peacekeepers in Nagorno-Karabakh. This sends a very clear message. Russian imperial days and the power projection days into the area are over. The new regional powerhouse is Turkey. That is all that is left of Russian imperial efforts in the area. Nothing. My friends, I know all of you need it, and I do need it, since the job of reporting death is incredibly tough. I want to show you something human. When I came back from Kiev, I saw these people, these fathers returning from the front. On the train, I was speaking to them. They get rotated out for a few weeks, and then they have to go back. And when they get rotated out, they see their daughters, sons, wives over a very long period of time. And this is one of these moments, and it's a little bit funny. Let's watch it. Look at this small girl. She can barely walk and she's running towards her father. This is, it's very cute through the video, but if you really talk to that man in a train who has just come from the front to see his wife over, 8 months, and he's alive and his comrades are dead, he has PTSD and survivor's guilt, then you really feel it. And then this video means something completely different. This is why I want to share these videos, because I've seen what's behind the eyes of this man. It's pain and sadness and gratefulness to be able to see their wife and daughter again. My friends, let's look at the military map for a second. Let's go to Kherson. And as you can see, these different bridgeheads Ukrainians have established over the Dnipro River, they're small and many people are already tired of waiting for anything big to escalate out of them. But I'm telling you, they're slowly expanding. Look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different bridgeheads. And by the reports, actually Brandon Mitchell came from Kherson and we were talking. He said that the goal of the Ukrainians here is to connect all of these bridgeheads, and they're doing that very successfully, slowly and methodically. They're not pushing south, but they're pushing east and west to connect them all so Russians couldn't launch anything over the Dnipro River. And the second reason is because Russians have to deploy huge amount of forces to counter these bridgeheads, only to counter them from expanding. Ukrainians perhaps don't even have the plan or resources in the area to exploit these bridgeheads or to push into Russian occupied areas, but the fact that Russians have to bring their forces away from the southern front and the eastern front, to put them here to just sit in the trenches looking at these bridgeheads, making sure Ukrainians are not pushing, is enough. It relieves a lot of Ukrainian troops, the 82nd Brigade, the 47th Brigade, 3rd Assault Brigade. All of the lives in these brigades will be saved because Russians have less manpower against them because it's deployed into the Kherson area. So this bridgehead tactic here is genius. With minor forces and almost no armor, Ukrainians have been able to tie up Russian entire brigades. Genius. Now let's zoom into the settlement of Oleshki and we go a little bit northeast from the settlement. This is the Koinka River, which is one of the sub-rivers of Dnipro River. And here it goes, it goes into two parts, as you can see. And in this river yesterday, a Russian speedboat was trying to push onto the Ukrainian liberated side, which they try every now and then. And we're gonna watch a video of what's the outcome of Ukrainian kamikaze drone plus a Russian speedboat. This is the Koinka River and this is the Russian speedboat filled with, was it 3 or 4 soldiers? This is how they usually go, they just drive head on. This is the Russian kamikaze drone. And actually, I was driving one of these kamikaze drones. We were at the base and training grounds of one of the best Ukrainian special forces unit, and they have a kamikaze drone squadron with the kill rate of 50%, so every second drone hits. This is the newest drone they had. It was incredibly difficult to drive, but they are so efficient. This is why we're fundraising. So if you don't know where to put your money or what charity to support, fear not, my friends. In about 2 weeks, I will do a fundraiser for the very best Ukrainian Special Forces unit, Kamikaze Drone Squadron. We will buy 50 drones for them, and you will see these drones. We'll make a separate video about it, and perhaps they'll allow me to explode one. I do hope so. This drone is targeting this boat. You have always seen these kamikaze drone videos. Sometimes the connection goes really bad just before it hits. Well, this is because Russians always have electronic warfare means or jammers in the area, which does nothing more than jam the signal, and this is the outcome. You cannot really see. But if you're a good operator, you can operate through this grain. You can still see the boat. I cannot show this, but a few moments later, this boat is sent to sleep with the fishes, all of the troops on it. A very effective drone kill. Here we go. Bada bing, bada boom. My friends, Joe Biden has approved another new United States aid packet to Ukraine. Everybody's talking and hoping that there was a long-range attack MS on it, but there wasn't. Such a disappointment, and I'm personally mad about it because UK is sending Storm Shadow, French sending Scalp missiles, only Germans and the US are not sending the long-range missiles, and Germany has said that they will send them if the US will send them, but the whole point is that Germany would send them before. Ukraine needs them now, not in the future. But of course I have to give you the other balancing factor that this is incredibly necessary, and I personally am very thankful for the United States of America for sending these millions and hundreds of millions to Ukraine in the forms of weapons. And if my country was attacked, I would hope US would do the same for my country. And I'm not gonna read you everything here, but I'm gonna read you, in my eyes, the most important 2 things. Demolition munitions for obstacle clearing, because Ukrainians have penetrated through the second defensive lines with their striker vehicles, actually. Let's look at it from the map for a moment. See these 2 black lines right here? These are the most manned first 2 Russian defensive lines. They have the anti-tank teeth, Dragon's Teeth, and insane amount of mines. This is why mine-clearing explosives that the US is sending are very necessary right now, and I'm glad Joe Biden has made the right decision on those. And also, United States Ukrainian striker vehicles were noticed behind this second defensive line right here, which means Ukrainians have breached, and now they're very slowly and methodically widening the gap, because you cannot push enough armor through a very narrow gap, because Russians will be targeting that one pinpoint. You gotta narrow it up, clear the mines, and then you can push them through from several different areas, so the Russians don't know which part to strike with their artillery. This is why this breach right now is so slow and methodical, but when Ukrainians will widen this gap slowly, then the advancement will be a lot faster, because this defensive line here and this one right here, you know, the second or third, however you want to call them, they are manned much more poorly and scarcely than the first one. This is why this demolition munitions is incredibly important. Second of all, spare parts, maintenance, and other field equipment. You know, this is not even separately written what exactly are they sending, because there's probably everything, but we're talking mostly about spare parts to American infantry fighting vehicles, perhaps spare parts for HIMARS, because everything that is being used on the front will break down. It's very important to get these, to repair them as fast as possible, to get them back deployed onto the front line. Always in these aid packets, look for logistics. My friends, this is Andrei Kartopolov, head of defense committee of the Russian State Duma, and he has some interesting things to say about the Russian mobilization, which started exactly 1 year ago in the fall of 2022. This chart here is the data collected of the official data of the mobilized deceased on the front, researched, and this is the result. About 50%, so half of the mobilized, according to raw data, live on the front lines 4.5 months. Half of them die before, and half of them die after. So that means it's 50-50 if you're dead in less than half a year if you're a mobilized troop in the Russian army in Ukraine. Close to 7% of the mobilized dies within 30 days on the front, and only about 2.5% survive for a year. So let's say there are 1,000 mobilized troops. You're in one of those 1,000 troop units. You're all standing in a row to listen to your commander. There's 1,000 troops standing side by side. You know that 1 year later, only 50 of those men are still standing, and there's 950 coffins next to you. That is to illustrate the raw, horrible data, which is the Russian army. Also, let's watch the video what Andrei Karpatov thinks about this horrible death mincing machine they have going on. Everything goes on as usual. Conclusions are made. Reaction is absolutely appropriate. Those deficiencies that were revealed during partial mobilization have now been almost eliminated. And active work is underway to make our mobilization system the most advanced in the world. So with this raw data of only 2.5% surviving for 12 months on the front, this is the most advanced mobilization system in the world. This includes the training, or the lack of the training, why the troops die so fast. Most advanced, my friends. Coming from the head of the defensive committee of the State Duma. As is said, fish rots from the head. Yes, my friends, this is a ballet dancer in Russia with a PPSH machine gun. In Russia, everything is being militarized now. The education, the dances, the music, the movies, everything. As soon as children learn to read, they will read the fake history, which is Putin's written Russian, Soviet Union, imperialist Russian history. And the ideas and the mindset they will be taught is the brainwashing necessary for them to be sent to the front 20 years later. And this is also shown in ballet. So this PPSH machine gun is converted into a... What the hell even is that? I mean, the girl can dance. I mean, she's good. But it represents the horrible militarization of the entire Russian culture. It is so bizarre. I'm sure the men will also have these PPSH machine guns. And my friends, now your favorite part and my favorite part, butchering of the Patreon names. These are the people who have supported this channel when I have rough times. The security net, my personal security net. I can focus on these videos and have a smiley face while reporting something this horrible, because I have a security net. And this is you, the Patreons. I'll read you 5 names, tier 10 and above, and I'll be butchering the names. Lavrenke, Davo LBC, jrenner42@gmail.com, Mikke Kitterhing, Scott Hamilton. Thank you to these people. You have personally contributed to my life. Thank you. Also, my friends, go and check out my Instagram. Everything I did in Ukraine and everything I'm doing in Estonia will be uploaded there for you to see. Some stuff I cannot show on YouTube, or it's too much effort, so I'll put it there. I'll see you in my Instagram, and until my next video, my friends, stay cool and bye bye.